Computer custom page. Yep, yeah, of course I can do that. Wow, okay, all of a sudden a fuck ton of people are showing up. Jesus Christ. Okay. Let's start with Bitcoin really quick, just because I know everybody in here loves Bitcoin too. So guys, we've come down to this imbalance here, this really nice imbalance here. And if you go fib, you fib here. Which again, if you don't know how to draw fibs, all good. But just know that the 707, the 786, and the 886 are normally where you see a lot of. If you're short, for example, is where most people exit and take their profits and look to get long. Um, they always say if you're still short past these three fibs, you're just greedy. That's why they say that phrase in the stock market: pigs get slaughtered. That's why pigs get greedy and they get slaughtered. And nasty swings back up or down, right? If this was the reversal and we had been in a bull or we had been in a bear market and we were retracing up, same thing, vice versa. So, but anyways, I really want to buy the dip. I just took money out of my FanDuel account and I really want to just throw it in Bitcoin, but I'm waiting. If we get back above 79K, I will. We need past, call it 79,300 for me to be a buyer on Bitcoin. Otherwise, we'll most likely look to go fill this other imbalance down here. Where there should be a very good amount of buying, anywhere from 70 to about 75K. There's going to be a good chunk of buying. So watch those levels on Bitcoin. Go to good old S&P. Good old S&P. Everybody can see my charts, right? And by the way, for y'all that just joined, just drop tickers in the chat or come off mute when you can. Look at this M fucking played out and just keep dying. Just drop tickers in there or come off mute if you want. So let me just remove my drawings and let us just look at this for a minute. So it's very interesting. There's a couple things about this chart that's clearly going to happen in 2025. Let me just get that out of the way. So look at how we wicked perfectly. This is why I tell you guys about these fair value gaps. Okay, look at this today. To the penny, right? Down here. Because the market wants to be imbalanced. Now, if I had to like truly somebody had a gun to my head and asked me what bottom, where bottom was going to be, like if I had to, one, I'd say that we're getting to a point where I'm starting to aggressively buy the dip. But if somebody had a gun to my head, I'd say about 540 to 545 because you see this huge area here that's switched from massive selling to massive buying, and you can see it here, right? Just a massive imbalance to the upside. I'd be shocked if we go past. I would be genuinely shocked if we went lower than 540. Not saying, of course, it can happen. If we went lower than 540, just say hello to 515. I mean, there's nothing holding us. If we lost this 534 to 540 area, there's nothing holding us up. Like the reason we don't just fall through, guys, here is there's a bunch of buying pressure from 540. You call it 550 to 560. There's a bunch of buying pressure here. Where um where if we lost this, there's nothing. There's nothing holding it up. There's no buyers present. In these fair value gaps. To the guy that asked any good resources for drawing these, YouTube, if you want, fair value gaps. I do a master class. It's 3 months long where I go over all this kind of stuff: fibs, M's, W's, fair value gaps, imbalances, all that kind of stuff. But so again, from a bullish perspective, we hate this right here. So let me zoom out the last time this happened really quick. So the last time we lost the 200-day, it actually looked pretty damn similar to this, funny enough. So again, guys, the reason you want to do this is history doesn't always repeat itself, but it always rhymes, especially in the stock market. So actually looks extremely similar to right now. You had this massive M that played out, and then I thought it was done, bounced, went a little bit lower, and then made its recovery. Okay. And we were below the 200. It actually looks like eerily similar. So we thought we were getting back above it, died 3 straight days of dying. And then we got back above it. So if you're a bull, you're hoping for this type of, if you will, pattern to play out. The last time before that we were below the 200-day for an extended period of time was when we were coming out of the 2022 crash. So when the stock market crashed in 2022, all we did was bounce off the 200-day moving average and make lower highs until finally then we chopped around it for a little bit, went and made what most people thought was a fake run, boom, and then kept going. So again, what you have to hope for here is very similar to this. It is actually crazy how similar it looks from a pattern perspective. This M played out, thought it was done, bit further. Let's see. I think we're again. I think we're pretty darn close to the bottom. Yeah, to the guy. I don't know what your name is because your name's Null, so I don't know what your name is, but just DM me on Discord and ask for more information on it. And I'll get to it after class, brother. So those are the two scenarios that I see playing out. We're either going to chop around the 200 for a little bit, this imbalance will hold us up, or we're going to go down to 540 is where I would call bottom. And if that gets lost, guys, and again, give yourself some grace here. Or I'll give myself some grace here. It's 535 to 540. If that's lost, we are going to see low 500s. There is nothing holding. There's no buyers present. Shouldn't say that. There's no significant buyers present that can prop a market up. We'll be buying, of course, because we're retail traders. Well, a lot of retail traders will sell and get scared, but you shouldn't do that as a retail trader. That's how you lose. This has to hold, or we're seeing low 500s. Low 500s will be seen if this area is lost here. So that's my outlook on SPY. The everyone, including your mother and grandmother who don't even trade the stock market, are short right now. So that's normally a sign that we're close to a bottom as well. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm very curious, very, very curious what's going to happen over the next couple of days. Buy the key levels. Be careful right now. The market is definitely trying to trick people at the moment. It's a tough spot to trade. What I will say, I said the same thing to people in 2022, is if you can learn and survive and trade in a market like this, you can trade any market. Then when you're in the easy markets, that people still manage to somehow lose money in, right? Like last year and the year before, or like when we hit the COVID low, when the markets are easy, then you'll really make a lot of money. So,
Like, where are you drawing Viv from? That last point where it just kind of was about to graze the 200, or are you going all the way back to when it dipped under?
yeah, good question, brother. Was that you, Adam?
Yep.
Yeah, good question, man. Good to see you.
Good to see.
So where I'm drawing my fibs right now are from this, because this was our last true swing low. But where you should draw it is here, because this marked the bottom, right? And then this marked the top. So where I would do it right now, just to avoid information overload, since we've made a clear top, Adam, would be from this swing low to this swing high. Because when you think about it, this was just one total move, right? We
Right.
never made a lower low, and then this was our true high. Now we can confidently say this was the high, right?
Right.
And so I would take it from this low, brother, to this up here. Make sense?
Yep. Perfect sense.
Yeah. And so again, when I sit here and I say, because guys, what you're always looking for, and I appreciate Adam actually bringing this up. I removed my fib because I didn't want to overwhelm everybody. I know sometimes my charts can be a little overwhelming, but you're looking for a bunch of confluence, right? So this 50% fib, anybody that knows me knows that if we don't get a lot of action off a 50% fib, I take that. That doesn't really mean much. Just so that anybody knows, I'm not going to go into like a whole Fibonacci explanation here, but the 50% fib is made up by traders. The Fibonacci sequence is a math equation that's been around since the 1800s. It exists everywhere, all across nature. You can find them in your hands even. 50% is completely made up by traders. And to make it really simple, guys, these are just percentages. So 50% is 50% of this total move. But the two fibs that really matter, if you don't know a lot about fibs, are 382 and the 618. So we're starting to hover above the 618. That's why I said a couple of weeks ago in the Discord that I think 550, I kind of called my shot, would be the absolute lowest that we went. We got pretty darn close today, 555. And look at how we perfectly wicked at the bottom of this bullish imbalance here. Now, if we went down and saw 549, so be it. But we're getting into the territory where it's the same thing like when everybody looked like a genius here, and then we double topped up here, here, double top, perfect M that came down. It's the same thing here. Now they're making this too easy to short right now. When we're not in by the way, nothing's changed, right? Like the last 2.5 years, credit card debt to savings has been at an all-time low. From 2022 to 2023, it was the worst home sales in the last 15 years. Then 2022 or 2023 to 2024, that happened again. Then last year, same thing, right? Like 2024 was literally the least amount of home sales in the last 15 years. Worse than when COVID first hit. Wow, the Lakers really fucking lost to the Nets. That's pathetic. Um, these massive tech companies have been doing huge layoffs since 2022. All this stuff, like nothing's just changed overnight. This stuff was staring us in the face for a while. Eventually, guess what? A market hits a top, you get a retracement, and then you move back up. Right, the worst bear markets ever. That's happened. Right, if you can scroll back down to COVID, what did we do? We went and made it up. You can scroll back down to uh, 2008. Right, made it low, and then what did you eventually? Now this took it. This there's a reason they called this the. Why is it forsaking me today? But the is it the Great Financial Crisis or something like that? I don't know why I can't think of it. It took quite a while to go see highs again, right? But guess what happened? Eventually made highs again. It always does. It always does. That's the nature of the beast. That's the whole reason this exists. The minute this stops making highs is the minute the stock market ceases to exist, because what would be the fucking point in investing in companies anymore? The whole point, it's a vehicle that was created to go up. Does it go down sometimes? Yeah. Just like sometimes you got to fill your car up with gas, or if you drive an electric car, you got to plug it into charge. So anyways, yeah, great point, Adam, on bringing up the fibs. Thank you. Yeah, we're hovering again around a key area right above the 618,
Yep.
and
Well,
right
then we
in
got
this bullish imbalance.
we
So
got the 618 and the FVGs as well. So
yep, exactly,
yep.
exactly. So there's a lot of confluence here. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm definitely not full unloading the clip yet, but I am starting to up my buys, if you will. Okay, you wanted me to look this the same story, by the way, Adam, is it's the same on QQQ, brother. If you want me to do it, I can, but it's basically the exact same story. Yep. Because I see it was you who asked for that. Man, Apple, you want to talk about getting fucking dick punched today? This thing did big time. But look at where it wicked, brother. Right? And it did manage. I was actually pretty impressed. Like I was shocked buyers pulled this above the 200 today. I noticed this earlier when I was getting
Right.
ready for class. Right down into this, large bullish imbalance here. Managed to close above the 200-day moving average. I was genuinely shocked by that, if I'm being completely honest. Um, so, you know, what I'll say, my only thing with Apple in a market like this where it starts to matter more is I need them to do something. You know what I mean? Like when we're just going and making all-time highs, of course Apple's going to rip up and make all-time highs like it did. But you notice how Apple started to really give way. Like it didn't go and make a new all-time high when SPY did, for example,
Right.
before we got the big dip. And it's because we need them to do something, right? Like their last big product, Vision Pro, like nobody owns that. Um, nobody's buying that, and so we need them to do something. I don't know. I really don't know what it is, but we need them to do something. We need them to innovate again. Um, so we'll see. But I see Apple going anywhere? Absolutely not, right? Like I say that as I'm someone with everyone in my home has an iPhone. We have 4 Apple TVs. I'm doing this on a MacBook Air. I have an iMac, an iPad, and almost every Apple person's like that, right? Once you're an Apple user, it's like all you use. So I'm sure they'll be fine, but I'm not rushing to buy the Apple dip yet, is all I'm saying. Um,
Yeah.
which could be stupid. Again, what I will say is a lot of investors, fundamental investors, do park a lot of money in Apple. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I haven't been paying attention to a lot, but it just seems like a lot of stuff, even though there's, huge dip, everything just really kind of seems to be retracing to their 200 MAs or EMAs
Yep.
in around there.
Yeah. No, 100%. You're absolutely right. Which again, pretty impressive move by Apple today to hold that. So we were SPY, yeah, we did SPY, brother. So Tesla, yeah, we can. Tesla's going to fill the gap. I'll keep it really simple, guys. I said this today in the Discord. There's absolutely no reason for this not to happen at this point now. So, which it might, I think it's there after hours, but we need to see it in market hours, but or at least pre-market. The 24-hour market, guys, try not to, no matter what, for whether let's say you're in a put and something's down $16 in 24-hour market, try not to take that too serious. And let's say you're in a call and it's up $26. Try not to take that too serious if it's in 24-hour market. Wait until it's at least pre-market. Even after hours, guys, doesn't matter that much. The volume really doesn't start coming in until pre-market. So we need to see this on Tesla pre-market tomorrow, which I have a feeling we will. This 218 to 212 area. Um, and then you got to hope this pattern's done, right? Which I'm cautiously waiting to buy shares. But you want to talk about a perfect double top into a what looks like could be a massive double bottom. Um, Never have I seen something give up an entire move this quickly, though. I will say that. Um, I think much of it is, of course, politically driven right now, but I'll say in the same breath, the market doesn't like. I mean, I don't like it as an investor, right? Like your your CEO, who happens to be a massive part of the brand, isn't really spending time on the brand, right? Like no problem if you want to go do politics, whatever, right? They all do, but they need to put somebody else in charge, right? Type of thing. Like when Bill Gates decided he wanted to get super political and do a bunch of stuff, he made Steve Ballmer CEO of Microsoft. So either we need Homie to get back to Tesla or let's put somebody else in charge. That's my honest opinion on Tesla right now. Because this is, while this has played out to a T from a technical standpoint, um, it never happens this fast. It never happens this fast, which is telling you there's a lot of other shit going on. So, and I would argue they need the CEO back and present on the company. So I'll just keep it that simple. Bunge BG. I've never even heard of that. I'll be honest, brother. So what do they do? That's what I would ask first. I don't know. I've never heard of this company, Bunge Limited. So if you could either type in the chat what they do or come off of mute. What indicator is that wave? This is a custom algorithm from a company by the name of Lux Algo. I get it for free just to be transparent because of my following on Twitter, but it's a paid for algorithm. If I had to guess, again, I don't know what this company does. Love that it's been showing some strength here. Admit it, um, in the midst of some market turmoil in terms of obviously we've had a pretty much a straight down market the last 2 weeks with some occasional pops and whatnot. So you got a same reason I've really liked Nike. Um, this went and made a new high today and still managed to close green. So that's what you like to see on a day that SPY was down $20. So you like to see that, I would say. Don't know what this company does though, so I hate to give too much agriculture. Oh, yeah, that's probably
Yeah,
a decent buy. What are you looking to do on it, brother? Are you
hold
looking
on.
like for my opinion on where I think it's going, or are
Yeah.
you buying shares? Are you in options?
I usually with this one is more on my long term
Yeah,
portfolio. So I look more into the dividend aspect of it and just really trying to accumulate as much of it as I can because it does show a really strong balance sheet and just the company in general.
yeah, this is pretty nice. I mean, came down, caught its monthly 200-day moving average, which is interesting. Like 2 months in a row now, we've wicked off of that, so that's you do like to see that. Um, I mean, the weekly looks really nice actually. So anytime I'm looking at shares and stuff like that, I'm pulling back and trying to see the historical chart, right? Like this, man, just so you know. Wonder what they were doing in fucking, how was this? Oh, 2008. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. If you have to see look at this though, guys. This is exactly why I promise. I shouldn't say I promise. I have a very strong feeling that SPY will see in the year of 2025 minimally 607 again. But this is kind of crazy. So this went and made this fair value gap in 2008, and look at where it then topped in 2022. And this is why it's important to learn this stuff. Could not get past that because sellers were just fucking waiting there for look at how many fucking years, guys. I mean, that's crazy. And people will try to tell you that technical analysis doesn't work. That literally to the wick. You guys can see where I have my fair value gap here to the wick. Couldn't get higher. They were just waiting. Some big fund was just waiting to unload the minute it got up there. That's actually crazy. That's actually crazy to see. But yeah, man, I think this could get to the 90s pretty easily. So I don't hate it. Looks like it does well in times of uncertainty. So um, don't yeah. So looks decent.
What about in terms?
Okay. Sorry,
My
go ahead,
fault,
bro.
my fault. Just
No, you're
last
good,
thing,
brother.
really.
No, you're fine,
Um,
man.
because
Just
for me, really, I look into the stocks as a long term thing, so I'm really kind of new to the options and the futures and stuff like that. So, is this something that you would recommend for me to look into day swing trading in the daily, or something like that? What would your strategy be with a stock like this one?
So you see how this says 99 million here, right here on my chart where I'm moving this. That's
Yeah.
on the S&P. This saw a million today, so no, I don't think there's good. Again, to me, because one of the most important things, especially since you're new, just so you know, man, is the amount of volume and liquidity inside of an individual um security. Um and that's no. This is perfect to trade just shares on, brother. Same reason like Home Depot is a great stock to buy and own, but honestly, trading options on it is trash. There's just not enough volume on the options chain, and it makes it. Well, you'll notice I see people in the group say this all the time. Like somebody will get in an option and they'll pay 450. Like or they'll pay 400. Let's just use round numbers, and then they'll look at it and like the bid is 3, the mid is 4, and the ask is 5. So there's $100 worth of spread between those. That means that the options chain's really illiquid, which means there's not a lot of people in it, and um, for every buyer there needs to be a seller, and if you're the only when there's not a lot of buyers and sellers, that's what causes that options chain to be crazy like that. And you want something that has it's called a tight spread. If you ever see people in the group like talking about, oh, this has a really tight spread, that's what they mean. Like for example, on those Nike contracts that I'm in, like the bid is 350, the ask is 370, and the mid is 360. That's really good. There's only $10 in between, for example, on something that far out. So long story to get then hopefully answer, gave you a little background on why I wouldn't trade options on this. I would just buy shares. I think you're doing the right thing. On stuff like for options, honestly, the best stuff is, large cap stocks that everybody knows because there's a bunch of volume in them. That's why you see people flock to certain names. Any other questions, bro? Before I go to the next ticker?
Nah, it's cool. It's cool. I appreciate you though. You got everything I pointed out. So with this one,
Perfect.
like you saying, just hold on to it long term. Don't really
Yeah,
look
I'd be
around
looking.
to play with it.
Yep, I'd be looking for 90, 94. I think to the downside, the 50s. It's probably where I'd buy heavy shares if you were looking to buy a lot of shares. But I think right now it's got potential to go to the 90s.
Okay, gotcha. Appreciate you.
No problem, man. No problem. QBTS. 370. Whoever asked this, that's where I would bet this is going to go. Starting to, so you can see this moving average. We've been trading above it for quite a while. And now it's acting as resistance and a heavyweight today. Um, I have my fair value gap set up where I need a second close below this gap for this to be considered satisfied. So tomorrow, unless we get back into the let's call it fives, this will be satisfied. So there'll no longer be an imbalance here, and the next one would be down in the 380s. So if you're a bull on this name, QBTS, you're wanting to get back into the fives, minimal 490s tomorrow, um, which I don't feel is likely, just to be honest. I'd be betting you see 380 on this, which will also allow the 200-day moving average to catch up. And I'd be relatively comfortable, especially based on the action you've seen there in the past. Breakout, retest, launch, breakdown, retest. You at least move back up. Again, you couldn't get past this imbalance here. A lot of selling in this area in the eights, but I would be betting on 370. Whoever asked about QBTS, if I was in it, unless you get back into the fives tomorrow, which does not look likely, just to be honest. SCHD, Schwab's Dividend ETF. I wouldn't buy options on this if that's the question. Um, I'm pro dividend. Just like I'm pro 9 to 5. For exactly reasons like this, the amount of people who have capitulated their accounts over the last 2 weeks who thought they were full-time traders is wild to me. And it's because when you force yourself to think you can do this forever, or as your only income source, which remember, guys, most like 95% of millionaires have 7 income sources. So why people think they just need to trade is it's just not how people make money. But yeah, I mean, I love this long term. I own a lot of SCHD. So you're not going to see me saying not to buy it right now. So, but I'm not going to give an options opinion on this. I would never play options on a dividend ETF. Not saying you can't. I just wouldn't. So, Hood, look at this motherfucker. Right down. If you go back, you can find this on my Twitter. 3 weeks ago, I said Robinhood's going to $34. It was just because of this giant fair value gap down here. I started buying a lot of shares today. I sent it in both Discords. So I feel pretty damn good about that. Um, the wild thing about this chart was there was no like or no, sorry, I'm thinking of hymns in terms of structure. There was this gap right here. So let me zoom in really quick here, guys. So not only did it leave a bunch of imbalances, but this had this huge gap to fill here, like literal gap. Which just so you guys know, these gaps, like these. So let me just turn my FEG off for a minute so that I can explain this to you guys. So there's fair value gaps, which are imbalances on a chart, really just liquidity areas. And then there's actual literal gaps here as well. There's a gap here. Oh, no, that was satisfied already as well. Here's one that if I was in options, I'd be super concerned. But I'm willing to start buying heavy shares now that we've satisfied this today. These gaps on these charts, so these literal gaps, hopefully you guys and gals can see what I'm saying there. Those fill on daily charts 90% of the time, right? Like Tesla's a great example. Like I said, I've never seen it that quickly, though. Now that I'm looking at Robinhood, it's about Robinhood's doing it even faster. So Tesla made these huge gaps. Let me just go to a truly blank chart. Again, this is good for some people to see. Can't believe the fucking Lakers lost to the fucking Nets. Now the Mavs, I need them to fucking tank because the whole team's hurt and they're winning. Like what is going on? Okay, here we go. Without all my shit, much clearer, hopefully. Here's a gap. Here's a gap. So we moved up past that and we did not fill this. Do you guys see does everyone see what I'm saying? We did not fill this when we moved up. Hopefully everyone sees what I'm saying when I say that. Now we've come down and we've done what? Well, we filled that gap because now there's trading that's taking place in this area. Does everyone see what I'm saying now? And now, in one fucking day's time, we've basically filled this gap as well, which is actually insane to do that quickly. Because like here's how it usually happens. This will now be the example I use in my class when I go in depth on gaps because it's so beautiful. But Pinterest used to be the best example ever. So during the height of COVID, for whatever reason, I mean, we know the reason that nobody was doing anything. Pinterest went all the way to $90. No way worth $90. But at middle of COVID, we got this huge gap at $31. Oops. And I started telling people, oh, we'll definitely see 31 again. Again, you don't know when. Just like that agriculture chart. Whoever I can't remember the gentleman who asked about that. But that agriculture chart went all the way up again, right? From '08, it was at where it was, and then went all the way back in 2023. That was crazy to see. Filled that gap and then immediately shut itself back down. Pinterest did the same thing. We went all the way up here, and then where did we go? We filled this gap, and then we had this big gap here. We filled this gap. And now what's so interesting, even in the midst of this fucking sell-off, Pinterest just loves this area now. This 33 to 24 area. It's pretty much, as you all can see, is pretty much where it's traded now for the better part of 3 years. Sure, it broke out a little bit to 44. Sure, it went a little bit lower to 16. But this gap this has become its price for quite a while until they do something either really shitty or really good again to justify going higher. These gaps, there's certain gaps, like if you go back on Apple or Amazon, it's funny that I say that. I used to believe that until I just saw that agriculture chart that filled that gap to the upside fucking how many years later. Um, there's certain gaps I've always said to people that'll just never fill. Amazon has one when they first came out with AWS. Apple has one when they first released, I think it was the AirPods. Um, that you're like, God, we'd have to like see a nuclear war to go fill these fill these gaps. Here, let me find this one on Apple. So Apple has one down at $96. Like, so Apple's market cap to take us to $96, like to get that low again, some bad shit would have to happen again. Now this gap's possible in my personal opinion if we got a legit recession down at 174. Like a real they finally publicly said we're in a recession because everybody knows we've been in one since 2022. But if they finally admitted we were in one, maybe. But some of these don't ever fill. Like I said, you can go down on Amazon and find one. I'm pretty sure Apple has one in like the 40s. Let me see here. If I remember correctly. That's how much time I spend in these charts. Look at that. From 39 to 40. There's a gap on Apple. So again, if we ever enter like a nuclear holocaust, maybe we'll fill that at some point. But something's gone extraordinarily wrong with Apple. Or you know when it'll fill? When Apple becomes Walgreens. Because eventually what's crazy is these companies do die. That's why it's helpful. Like in my biggest holdings are all ETFs because they rebalance it for you, right? If you would have asked somebody in 1980 or 1990, like, man, do you think Walgreens is going to die one day? Just so that anybody doesn't know, like Walgreens just announced they're going private. This was a dividend aristocrat, which means they rose their dividend every year for like 90 years, right? Like in 2022, for God's sakes, this stock was $100 and now it's fucking 11. So again, never say never. One day I'm sure Apple will be obsolete, right? So I mean, look at this. This has been in the market since 1968, right? You think people who owned this at $100 thought that one day it was going to go down to 11 and go private? No. So you know what? Maybe Apple will one day fill that gap when they become obsolete. Let's actually see. Let's actually go way back to the last time Walgreens was this price. Was there? I'm just curious. Now I'm just actually curious. Let me go to the daily chart and see if there's any gaps way back when. So just the nerd in me.
Hey, quick question. When you say
Yeah,
fill
go
the
ahead.
cap, what do you mean?
Yeah, so I'll show you again as an example when we go back to Tesla. I guess they didn't know that filled there. Oh no, there. Interesting. There is one way back when in the tens. Huh, that was satisfied. I might add. Earlier this year, Walgreens was like $9. That's kind of crazy. So Walgreens was $10 and had that gap. When was that? Where did I just see that? Back in '97. Wow, crazy. But yeah. So to the brother who just asked, what do I mean? So. So, do you see here, sir? Whoever asked, and sorry, I didn't see your name. So, on October 24th, Tesla closed at $212, and then the next day opened at 244. Do you see that?
Yes.
So, this area in between represents a gap of trading because after that move happened, notice we didn't come back and fill this space. And so moves like this are only possible with big money orders. And they can't just like one day, for example, like if a hedge fund got its way, it would have sold everything on SPY, right? Like when it thought the market topped. Why wouldn't they? But that would cause literal mass panic. It would murder a bunch of people's accounts, all that kind of stuff. So there's a bunch of buy orders left unsatisfied here in this area. And so eventually they have to come down and fill. Like notice when we got back down into that area a couple of weeks later, we got another huge move up. So then again, on November 5th, 2024, we closed at 250 and we opened at 284. So a $30 move overnight. That's another gap that we didn't fill until this week. You see how now we've traded inside of that gap? See what I'm saying
yeah.
now? See that?
Yeah.
See how we've now satisfied that area? Same thing here. This has now been satisfied. So the market, I say this all the time in the masterclass, probably too much. Adam's taken it and he's probably heard this a million times. The market just wants to be balanced. That's why I can sit here and tell you that we will trade in the 600s again in 2025 is because the market just wants to be balanced. This was an incredibly unbalanced chart. Did I think it would fill these gaps this quickly? I'll be honest and say no. I did not. I thought we were going to fill this gap, and that this would be bottom because this was structurally a really nice move right here
So
down.
do you think
But
this is still going to go down some more? Now, what's a good buying price for this Tesla?
well, there's one more gap at 145.
Oh,
The question is, does it want to fill that now,
okay.
or not? The way this has been moving, if the market continues its downside, like for example, if I don't know if you were on earlier in class when I said 545 is my bottom. Like if I don't see the market going any lower than that, I actually think we're pretty close personally. But if we go down to 545 with Tesla doing 10 to 15% moves daily, it will go to 145. I promise you. I promise you it will see 145 if we continue to do what we've been doing. I mean, this literally has been moving 5, 10, 15%. I mean, I can see it up there. It moved almost 16% today. So Tesla is not going to move opposite the market. Frankly, even today, when we got a nice bounce on SPY to end the day, this didn't see an ounce of relief. So that's the type of thing to me that, like I said it in the Discord, one of the Discords today. I don't know which one. I think I'd said it in both. Like I'm not running to buy more shares on Tesla right now. Like I bought a good amount of night to eat last week to get to where I wanted to on my overall share position. I bought a good amount of hood today. I bought a good amount of HIMs today. I can't remember what else I sent, but I'm gonna start buying more Nvidia shares, but I'm not rushing to buy Tesla right now. I need to see us either hold in this area because below it, there's of course we're not just gonna go right to 145. Like below this, 180 should see some buying. 200 is a huge psych level. There's going to be a good amount of psychological buying that gets done at 200. Those big even numbers, guys and gals, just so you know, always create some sort of psychological buying. Don't know why I can't get that on where I want it, but I want it right on $200. So you'll see, some psych buying at 200. There's a good amount of support here. It looks like in the 195. Yeah, some decent buying candles there. Below that 181 looks like there's a good
Yo,
amount of
bro,
support in the 160s. But
quick one.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry to interrupt.
No,
If
you're
you
fine.
double tap the line, if you double tap the line, right? Yeah, double tap it. Is that the right thing? No, like if you double tap on the line, go to coordinates. Yep. So you can set it like at 200.
Bro, you learned something. I live and breathe TradingView. Thank you, whoever just told me that, and I never knew that existed. So cool. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, you're welcome, man.
I appreciate that. Who said that?
It's Kel. Well,
Thank
I'm
you,
Nox
Kel.
on the group
Thank
chat
you.
in Discord.
Very cool. Thank you. Cool. So yeah, to answer whoever's Tesla question, I'm super long trying to find the bottom. Careful, is all I'll say. Are you using an indicator that automatically adds FEG? Yes, but you should learn how to draw them. Otherwise, you won't know how to read the one that puts them all. The only reason I have one that puts them on like that is because I get 1,000 chart requests a day. On charts that matter, I still draw them myself. PLTR, sure. I just want to say I did call top on PLTR. I feel pretty good about that. And told people this would be the easiest short in the market. Never seen a P and E this out of whack.
How'd you figure out the top for their PLTR?
when this was at 125, its price to earnings ratio was like 800. A good price to earnings ratio is 30, just so you know. Like people that are investing and staying in shares, which is still the vast majority in the market, get a little scared when a stock gets like into the 50s and the 60s, of not like your main blue chip stocks, right? Tesla, right? This is a great example. When it was up here, its PDE was way too high. I don't remember what it was, but its PDE to 488 was way too high. And this is a well-known commodity. Nvidia, when it topped, its PDE was way too high. This 800, no, this was the easiest short ever, just on a pure fundamental standpoint. And there was a bunch of other things too. This giant gap here. There was, again, look at where we've largely chopped now, right? We've largely chopped around this area because this has been satisfied. The market just wants to be balanced. If I had to bet where PLTR is going now, I would tell you it's the 40s. If the market, the same way I just said, and I love Tesla, that if the market keeps selling the way that it is, which and I shouldn't say that. If the market, because a move down to 545 sounds like a lot, but it's really just a 618 retracement, which is a standard retracement in a bull market. But the way PLTR has been selling, it's been selling very similar to Tesla. If the S&P sees 545, this will see $40, and that's where I'll buy some shares. So if we move back up, I'd be willing to buy shares over 85, but not until then. So it's either over 85 for me or down to 41. And people always ask me, like, well, why'd you wait for it to get over to 85? Like, for example, because you need some sort of confirmation instead of just like, for example, this was some fuckery, right? Convincing bulls that it was back when all it was doing was going and retesting this previous resistance and just confirming, like, oh yeah, no, we're fucked. We can't get over 90. So that's why I would wait. Sometimes waiting and getting in a couple dollars, that is an exact bottom, you won't be able to sit here and claim like, oh, like I just claimed, because I did call actual literal top on PLTR and I do feel good about that. That's not actually the goal in trading. I'm just saying that now to make myself feel good. That's not actually ever the goal in trading or investing to call exact tops or bottoms. You want to do what's the best risk to reward. That's what trading's about. So that's why I would wait to either get over 85 or I'll buy in the 40s. So Bunge, we already did that, funny enough. So this is recorded. You can watch the YouTube video on BG Bunge. Never had heard of that before today. Now we have two people asking it. So interesting. So gaps are just made when something drastic happens suddenly. Yep. Like true gaps on the chart. Fair value gaps are big money buying and selling. Amazon. I want to buy this name. I want to start buying Amazon so bad, y'all. So bad. Yeah, this really nice harmonic pattern here that played out. We filled our gap here. This is what? Double bottom, right? I want to buy this so bad. Like this really started to show some strength. Like these wicks to the downside. Like if you ever take my master class, like Joey's on here, Adam's on here, I say it all the time. It's not so much the color of a candle that matters, it's the structure. So like sure, Amazon was red today and was red Friday, but buyers are really starting to step in at certain lows here and pulling price back up. Like you could lawn with a stop of I would lawn with a stop of this support being lost, like 190, 190. Give myself some grace down to 190. But yeah, it's starting to get Amazon's starting to get like if we start to get some buying, it's the same way I feel about Nike, though today was fucking terrible to pull us all the way up to 81 and then rip us down. Got him. Dick punch. But this is starting to show some nice strength. I like Amazon. If the market turns around, this will be a leader in my opinion to the upside. Amazon. Wouldn't have wanted to be long the whole way down. It's exactly why I told people not to hold Tesla calls. Unfortunately, I think some people are just hoping Tesla rips, which the way it does, of course it could, but wouldn't have wanted to be in this to the downside. And options in shares, I haven't sold any Amazon or Tesla shares. So,
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
If you're buying shares, right? Like let's say you buy it and it keeps going further, do you set up stop losses for these or you just hold and try to dollar cost average down?
Yeah, so for me, I'll just go to SPY. And again, everybody's different, but I don't I shouldn't say that. There are certain stocks that I trade shares on, like actually trade shares on. But I don't usually share those in the Discord, just my options and then my share buys. I'm looking to hold shares minimum of 5 years. And if I was you all, I would at least hold for 12 months so that you don't pay short-term capital gains tax on your shares. Because hopefully you eventually turn a profit in options and then you're always paying short-term capital gains tax. And let me just tell you that that's the fucking worst. Again, it took me 4 years to be profitable trading options. This was, I started trading 10 years ago. So, and you already pay a good amount of taxes to get back to the original question, trading options. So for me, shares are always like a 5 to 10 year plus horizon. So like, for example, and this is why I tell people the class that we do is worth it. Even if you do decide like you just want to trade shares is, what's a good one? Well, Hood's a great one. They told people it was going to come down, um, to where it's going. And why I said I'm not buying super heavy. I started a position at a key fib. Is here's how a lot of people treat dollar cost averaging is. Okay, I'm gonna buy every Monday. There's a guy in our Discord who loves to say that he buys every Monday. So I won't call him out by name, but okay. So he bought Hood at $50. Then the next Monday he bought Hood at, because it normally executes at market open. Then he bought Hood at $55. And then he bought Hood at $40. All the same quantity, probably. Where the method to my madness is I started a position at the 50% fib at 45. So I'm already $5 lower on my cost. We then went down. Now I'm not touching it again until we're either at that level. Then we went down to the 618. So I bought some more this morning. Then we went down to the 707 and I bought some more there. Even in shares, while dollar cost averaging is great, I forget there's a whole like math equation behind this, that while dollar cost averaging, sure, in the end you'll end up making money, but is it that much better than like a high interest savings account? Not really. Where if you buy at key levels that matter, it goes from, like, let's just say a 7% gain annualized, which is good, by the way, to like a 27% gain annualized, like yearly, where you buy a key level. So that was kind of a lengthy answer, but hopefully it answers your question.
Yeah, that was nice. Can you kind of explain like how or show examples of like confirmation or what to look for in confirmations? Because I think
Yeah.
some things like where I should buy in and then it just keeps going down, and I was like,
Yep.
okay, that's not it.
Yeah. So that's a whole lesson, honestly. But what I'll say is this. Um, I think a bunch of people look for a bunch of reasons to stay in a trade, and you need to be looking for a bunch of reasons not to stay in a trade, frankly. Right? Like, I think our natural human psychology is, you convince yourself it's going to come back, you're going to win, blah, 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 blah. But like, there's nothing wrong with, like, let's just look at this. Let's say today, which, by the way, you want to talk about the worst fucking day in so again, remember that it's not dollars. Percentages matter way more. Fucking Hood was down 20% today. That's insane. So this started at $39. So let's say, well, actually, it opened at 40, but let's say it went down here. I'll go to the 3 minute chart. And again, you shouldn't use daily Fibonacci's to day trade, but just pretend these are my intraday levels. So we bounced off this. Yeah, exactly. It's natural to hope. We bounced off this 618. So let's say you're like, okay, I'm going to take an entry here. And nice boom boom confirmation, you got in and then it lost this level. Like, you need to just be honest with yourself. So like, here's what I always tell people in my class is you're looking for 2 to 3 candles to confirm something. So 3 candles here would have been confirmation. This is not a great candle from an entry perspective, or it would have been a great candle from an entry perspective, but the fact that you topped out 2 candles later would suck. Now, natural human instinct is this. So you come down, 1 candle close below this level, 2 candle close below this level. If I'm in a day trade, I'm out. That's my rule. 2 candles above or below, below for a one, below my stop, I'm out. I'll re-enter or I'll just stop trading. There's nothing wrong with that. By the way, I think so many people think like one, they have to trade every day or be day trading, and two, they have to be like at the end of the day green, and that's normally how you end up going red because just like I don't know what it is about trading guys, but like in no other area of your life, I'm sure, do you expect to be perfect all the time. Like there's just I guarantee um there's no other area of your life that you're like, okay, I have to be perfect, right? Like people don't even expect that at your job. Yet every day, like I see people beat themselves up so much, like, oh, I was red today. That's just life. You're not going to be green every day. The best traders in the world are looking for like a 60 to 70% hit rate. Yet you have, and again, I know why it is because people on social media lie and act like they're hitting like 80, 90, 100%. That's not possible, guys. The people you're getting lied to. Okay, I promise you're getting lied to. It's actually one of my biggest pet peeves when it comes to trading. In like the real world of traders who are trading millions of dollars, a 60 to 70% hit rate, which means that means you're getting it right 60 to 70% of the time, is considered phenomenal. So when you have people on the internet saying they're hitting 80, 90, 100% of the time, tell them to shut up because they're not. Um, and the way you can have a 60 to 70% hit rate and make a bunch of money is by following your rules. Which I'll be 100% honest has always been my biggest fault as well because you just want to be right, right? So your rule needs to be this: 1, 2 candles close below your level, I'm out, right? You lost that trade. Because here's what a retail trader does, right? Oh, okay, boom. You think the trade's going to go great. You're like, oh, fuck. Okay, well, I might as well not sell now because fuck, like it's definitely going to bounce. And I normally when I do this, I get a bunch of people like, oh my God, I do this every day. Like, oh, it's definitely going to bounce, definitely going to bounce. I don't want to sell at the low. And then we move back up here and they're like, oh, well, fuck. I mean, we're definitely going back to at least my entry. So I'm not going to sell now, even though like down here, all you wanted was bounce. You should have taken profits here or you should have taken your loss there. All right. You convinced yourself that eventually it was going to bounce. Of course, you're right because you always get some sort of relief bounce, bounced. But now you're like, no, no, we're definitely going to go back. You're like, oh, fuck. Nope, dumped. And then you're like, oh, thank God I held because you got 20 cents higher than here. And then you're like, okay, we're definitely going back to my entry. And then it just fucking shits itself. And you didn't take a stop at all. And then you end up selling all the way down here at $35. I bet that's happened to 98% of you. And you can admit it because it's happened to 100% of people in here, whether they want to admit it or not. So you need to the guy who brought up the original question of like, how do you beat that? That's all mental, bro. That's all mental. You got to look inside and follow your rules. You got to figure out what your rules are. Got to write them down. And you got to respect them. And you got to face the fact that you're not going to be fucking green every day because that's just not how life works. It's definitely not how trading works. So stop telling yourself that. That's why I get pissed off from people in the Discord when they just hype themselves all the time and all sorts of stuff. It's like, bro, come on. You and I both know you ain't doing that every single day. That's not how it happens. And then exactly, theta fucks you up, especially yeah. Well, that's why I don't trade short dated contracts. So we had a guy in one of the discords because again, there's people from 2 discords in here right now, but one of the discords that I'm in and run, who trades like millions of dollars a day, he got fucking just worked today because theta, right? Like zero DTs, they sound like a good idea in the moment, guys, but they're a good idea when you're in the right. You should always give yourself a little bit of time. I always say it's like having unprotected sex with women you don't know. Eventually, that's gonna trip you up, and you're gonna either have a baby you don't want, or you're gonna get something you don't want. Okay, so give yourself some protection. That's time on options contracts. Any other tickers tonight, guys? If not, I'm going to bed. I didn't even notice it was 10. I'm a dad. I'm tired. Hymns. I did
Yeah.
hymns, but I'll do it again.
Thanks for your help.
Oh, no problem, bro. No problem. Yeah, and anybody that's interested in the class, guys, just message me on Discord. I'll try to get to them. So hymns. Here's the fucking beautiful part about hymns. Now we have an imbalance up here. I don't have any of my stuff on, but again, I can just look at a chart and know where this shit is. We have a gap we need to fill back up to the upside in 60. It's the same reason why I'm very confident SPY will trend back up. Really nice here. We also have what is forming a relative. This is a relatively bullish pattern right here. It could go as low as 30 and then back up to fill that gap. which this would then be a double top, by the way. I'd be out up here. This is where a lot of people think the run's never going to end, and it always does. So I'd be out about right there. But yeah, Hims looks good. 30 would be my line in the sand because of the dates that I have where I would take the loss. To whoever asked again. So, but like, so this W, guys, these things, like, they can overextend sometimes. This is going to be the last example that I do. I go back. But Baba had this monster. Okay, sorry, I just had to zoom out. Baba had this monster W here, and I had it topping out right about here, and obviously we went a little bit higher by $10. But as you can see, we're trending right back down, and yeah. So thanks for the info. Yeah, no problem. Any thoughts on SoFi? I got shares in there at 13. They ran up to 15, 16. I'm adding more shares at $9 on SoFi. This will fill the gap. So add more there, Kel. I wouldn't buy this dip quite yet. Would not buy this dip quite yet. I'll be waiting until 13 again. 9 or 13 is where I'm buying shares on SoFi. Banks got murdered today. Which person fucked up on their 0 DT? Man, I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus like that. Come on, bro. Come on. Come on. Just let it be a lesson. That's all I'll say. Okay, anything else today, guys? If not, I'll let y'all go. Going to bed. I got 2 kids. They could wake up at any moment. We'll grab long-term puts, then reinvest it. Nah, short-term puts, long-term invested into lawns. That's how you win in this current market. Good night. Good night. Yeah, looking forward to the masterclass too, Angel. We got a big semester this yes, I covered the video. Yeah, you can check it in the recording. We got a big class coming up starting in April. So excited about it as well. Man, I just need the Spurs to win here, man. Come on, the Mavs need the best pick possible. All right, y'all. See everybody later. See you tomorrow.
All right, bye. Thanks.
See ya.